I finally did a video. This is one of the strangest experiences of my life. I'm not media savvy. I'm not technologically minded. And I never in a million years thought I'd be making a YouTube channel. But here we are. So Bill, why now? Well, midlife crisis, for one. But also, I want to connect with people. I want to connect on I wouldn't say a deeper level, because I haven't even connected with people on a surface level. When I talk to my clients or when I engage with students in my classes, it seems very closed in. Now, there was a discussion as to whether I should just record my classes and put them up. But I think that's sort of cheating in some sense, because that would be very easy for me to do, because it would require me just to do as I normally do and then add a camera to the equation. But I think these videos are going to chronicle my own sort of insecurities and my own traversal of the YouTube space, especially academically. Well, I do proofreading, I do editing, I do formatting, I do referencing, I do academic consultation. Academic consultation is you coming to me with your master's thesis or your doctoral thesis or even your undergrad thesis and saying to me, do you know what? My supervisor has come to me and they said my academic writing is absolutely awful, or my literature review doesn't engage, or my findings chapter lacks immediacy, or my discussion chapter lacks no bearing on the previous chapters, or let's say finally the conclusion has nothing to do with the research question and objectives. At that point then I stick the examiner's cap on, I go through the thesis and I say, okay, I found the problem, here's how you solve it. It's good to vent, it's good to recognize that, hey look, you're not alone. And the nature of the business is to show that people are not alone. And that there is someone out there, such as myself, who has been through the system, has been, I wouldn't say battered by the system, but struggled through the system myself. And this is my way of sort of giving back. Now the business is in a sense a way of sort of saying to you, do you know what? You're doing a master's, doing a PhD, it's pretty horrendous, but we'll get through it. So a large cohort of my clients are people who are returning to education, those in full-time employment. It might be full-time nurses, full-time teachers, full-time business people, full-time social care workers, full-time doctors. They have a working life and their academic life is somehow slaughtered around that. That's tricky. I was quite lucky in my own PhD to work within the college and to be able to take some time off here and there. But if you're working a 9-to-5 job and it's on the other side of the city or other side of the country from your college, that's a minefield to try and traverse, especially if you have kids or another half that you have to sort of slot in there as well. It's very important to have friends and family and loved ones around you. But if you're doing a thesis, it takes a lot of time. The distance between you and your college might feel like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. Or it's been so long, I'm sort of out of touch. I don't connect with anyone in my class. My supervisor has disappeared or doesn't know how to engage with me. I slot myself in there and I say, do you know what? I think I know what your supervisor is looking for. Am I the best person for the job? Of course, of course. Who else would be willing to put themselves in front of a camera and make horrendously cringe content such as this if they weren't in your side of the ring? Look, I've been through it. I've been through the woes of my master's thesis, the woes and nightmares of PhD, and then the woes and troubles of 10 years of being self-employed within academia. So I do live and breathe academia. It's not something to boast about, but it is something that I've sort of picked up a lot of skills. I keep using the word tips and tricks because that's what it's all about. And that's really why people watch these type of videos. They want sort of insights. They don't want the same slides their lecturers put up. They want someone that's sort of outside of the college sphere. Someone who can say, do you know what, I actually have a few secrets you should know about. In one sense, I'm not bound by college rules. I'm not bound by teaching, I nearly called it dogma. It's not dogma, it's just colleges have certain guidelines they have to follow, certain ethical dilemmas they have to avoid. I'm sort of free from that. I can sort of say to you, do you know what? You don't need to do this. Just focus on this. Whatever you see me doing in these videos, I will do for your thesis. I won't write your thesis. I state that at the beginning here. I don't write people's thesis. I don't help you write it. I'm not a thesis firm. I'm not a AI construct that works with other AI constructs to help you complete your thesis without any sort of effort from you. I will require effort from all my clients. It's just me sort of being a more hands-on supervisor, because I think that's important. You know, the last thing you want is to hand up something that you didn't do. If I'm looking at a master's thesis and it needs a lot of work, I'm there with them. I'm saying, here's what you need to do. The only difference between me and your supervisor is that I'll do the proofing and the editing and the structuring for you as much as I can. And then the little extra distance I'll go for you is to say, do you know what? That paragraph works better in chapter 1. Or your conclusion is coming too soon. You're mentioning your conclusion in chapter 5. Just push it all into chapter 6. So how does everything work? Well, track changes for the most part. You send me your thesis, you send me your essay, whatever. I'll put on the track changes. I'm going to go through and look for spelling, grammar, punctuation, flow, any sort of repetition. Your academic writing is very important, so I'm making sure that there's no filler paragraphs, no filler sentences, no irrelevant sections. I'm going to check all your referencing. I'm going to make sure your referencing is correct. So that's all going to be done for you on the track changes. Another important part of the business is my Zoom classes. Now, I don't do them as often as I used to do them, but they are still available for anyone who wants to join a class of 10 to 12 people for 90 minutes once a week for 5 weeks. And important topics within the Zoom classes include stuff that's going to be covered in these videos mostly. So academic writing, how to do a successful introduction chapter, lit review chapter, methodology chapter, findings chapter, discussion chapter, and conclusion chapter, how to reference properly and how to avoid plagiarism, and how to format your thesis. And sprinkled throughout those particular classes, I'll be talking about other stuff as well, like, you know, how you can read better, how you can research better, how to read academically, for example. An important aspect of the classes is the question and answer session. Not everyone's thesis is going to be the same. So if I'm up the top of the class talking about qualitative and quantitative methods, but you've done a systematic review or a pure secondary research type thesis, you're going to be sitting there thinking, okay, this is not for me. The question and answer session allows me to reach every student in the class. That's why I generally try and keep the class size about 10 people, 8 to 10 people, but it goes up to 12. And if you've done a systematic review, the floor is open for you to say to me, do you know what, how do I do this? And then I can respond directly. The YouTube channel has been a long time coming, too long, and probably people are moaning behind the camera at me. I think the timing is probably good for it, especially with AI. So AI has sort of consumed and transformed my company somewhat. I'm not doing as much as I used to, and I've sort of transitioned towards doing more consultation work, and now especially doing more media work, more YouTube stuff. So, well, as well as having a PhD, I also have helped people do their PhD for over 10 years. I'm heavily invested in research. I'm heavily invested in any sort of academic advancement, especially in terms of career. COVID and even Brexit has forced people to sort of rethink their career path and even rethink their educational style and educational approach. So you will get a lot of people who decide, do you know what, the job I've had for the past 20 years is just not cutting it anymore. I want to do something a bit different. And that's a great thing. If you've been out of education your whole life, or you've never entered third level education, that can stop you, because you're going to enter into a class where you feel like, well, everyone around me is much more smarter than I am. But that's not true. You know, you might be a little bit sort of walking in unfamiliar territory, but that's okay. That's perfectly normal. As someone who had to repeat the Leaving Cert and had to repeat the first year of college, I struggled heavily. I mean, coming from Tala, traveling all the way up to UCD, I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to getting the bus. I wasn't used to hearing different accents, seeing different cultures. And it was quite scary, and it was quite tough. And I remember even during my PhD, you do suffer from that imposter syndrome, where you think, "Do you know what, maybe it's not for me." But you sort of, you rethink your priorities, and you rethink your objectives. And I sort of found, you know what, it's actually easier if I just think about this differently. And this channel is going to help you think differently. And it's going to help you come to terms with the fact that, yeah, you made the decision to go back to college, or you made the decision to go to college. Now, there's questions about, are you in the right course? Can you do a master's thesis? Can you do a PhD thesis? Is it for you? These are all questions I'm going to raise in these videos. I think it's a healthy discussion to have, because ultimately it all boils down to your own physical and mental health, and that can take a toll when you're doing something like a master's or a doctoral thesis. And it can take a huge toll if you're 17, 18 years old and you're trying to do a final year project, or you're trying to do essays, and you're trying to keep on top of things. So that's basically it. Brief. It's going to be about an hour long to edit, but a breakdown of who I am and who my business is, particularly what I do, what I offer, how I differ from other people, and my plans going forward. The plans for these YouTube videos is to produce 2 a week, probably do a longer form type video on a particular aspect of a thesis, and then I'm going to do a little thing called Tea Talk, which is going to be about a topic in college. So maybe how you and your supervisor can get along better, or how you can make friends in college, or how you can balance marriage or relationships while doing a PhD, which is a tricky balancing act. So you're going to have the main videos, which is going to be Thesis Talk, and then you're going to have Tea Talk, which is a bit more looser. I'm going to have a bit more fun with those videos. These videos are very much about me growing and me working on my own insecurities in relation to being on camera and being out there. Being self-employed online can leave you with a lot of deficiencies in terms of social graces. Leaves you with a lot of social anxiety. It's very hard to connect with people when you're sort of alone working on a computer all the time. So these videos are a way for me to connect with people, and a way for me to sort of say, do you know, I have a lot of knowledge that I sometimes can't be bothered writing down. I think sometimes it's very hard for me to produce all this knowledge into something digestible that can be in the written word. I think I'm more suited for this type of stuff. So as the weeks go on, I'm hoping, you know, with 2 videos a week, that I'm going to end up with some sort of a better confidence, a better ability to understand like the background behind me, making sure stuff is, you know, in focus, out of focus. I don't look like I'm lit on God knows what, you know. It's just sometimes the lighting's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes the sound is good, sometimes it's bad, but that's life, you know. That'll mimic your PhD journey, or your master's journey, or your undergrad journey, or any academic journey if you're going into publishing or anything like that. I'm here, warts and all, to show you that, look, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know how these videos are going to grow, how they're going to progress. I'm going to do them all the time, but I'm not sure what the format will look like. I'm still teasing it out, you know. So I hope you would join me on that journey as you try and tease out your own thesis or essays or whatever project you're working on, that we can grow together and see what we can produce by the end of it.